I'm Troy Sage.
And I'm Andrew Smith. Today we're going to talk counteroffers.
Today we're going to talk counteroffers. You know, it's a really nice day today in Temecula, as a matter of fact.
It's a beautiful day in Temecula. It's middle of summer. It's warm. It's nice.
It was hotter than, you know what, yesterday, but today it's got a nice little breeze kicking.
I think it's supposed to be a few degrees cooler.
I like it. I'm pretty fired up about that.
No, you are.
I'm just happy to be here with you, my friend.
Hey, ditto that, buddy.
So let's talk about these counters.
All right. The thing on the counteroffers that we're seeing that comes back is there's a lot of work that goes into getting a short sale to the approval point, or to the point where the banker are actually going to counter the terms. Now, and what I mean by that is you've got to remember on the short sale process going forward, first and foremost, it's all about the seller. The bank and the investor have to qualify that seller's hardship and see if they're in a situation where they need to conduct a short sale, and is it in the bank's and the investor's best interest to allow this property to go to short sale.
Right.
When you go all the way through that and you determine that yes, this short sale is viable, you then start getting down to the specific terms. And like any negotiation, there is going to be give and take. There's going to be play involved here, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you know what you're going to see.
There's going to be some play, all
There's
right.
going to be some play. So what you've got is you go all the way through, the terms are submitted, BPOs come in, everything's good. And then before getting to the approval, the bank are going to issue a counter. There's a few terms in there that the bank want to change. Now, we're not talking about a couple of minor line items on the HUD here. We're actually talking about possibly seller contributions, promissory notes, things like that. Now, I know in California it's a little bit different right now because the bank technically are not supposed to be able to ask for promissory notes and cash contributions as a part of the new revision in the law.
You're right. They're not allowed to demand, but they can ask. Right?
Good clarification.
In a really neat little way. They can say, well, we're not going to necessarily approve this short sale, but
unless the seller might be interested in possibly making us an offer to sweeten the pot, so to speak.
It's almost like in high school when you meet a girl, you're at lunch, right, and you go, you know, I'd really like to take you out on a date, and they kind of look at you weird, and you go, if you want, but you don't have to, so why don't you think about it, and if you decide that you want to go on a date, why don't you give me a call, and we'll work it out. It's that same emotion.
You were awfully good at that. You've been around that circle a few times.
I was not the most likely to ever succeed with women, that's for sure.
Foot up in the air, twisting your toe. Well, kind of, sort of.
I'm having flashbacks of asking someone out in high school, and she basically spit on me, so...
Did she finish her lunch first?
No.
Oh, man. Applesauce on the brow, man.
Oh, dude. Oh, you're killing me.
So with that in mind, all right, if you've got a good negotiator, even if that counter comes back, we've touched on this before, but the terms of that counter are not cast in stone. They are going to be negotiable, but there's going to be give and take there.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of sellers don't realize is that, and I'll speak for our teams, when we're negotiating a short sale, we don't go back to the seller every single time that they come to us. Every single time the bank comes to us.
Well, we may already have a very good idea, knowing the client, where they're at, what they can do, and unless there's something that seller hasn't told us or they've been hiding, you know, we've got a rough idea of where they're at. We know generally, it's not that we're going to make a decision for them, but you have a general idea of things that will and won't work.
Yeah, and I explain it to my clients like this, is that, you know, I'm like a sports agent. I'm like Michael Jordan's agent, right?
Right.
And Michael Jordan, when they're negotiating a new deal for Nike, their agent's not going to go back to Michael Jordan every single time that they discuss what color the shoelace is going to be, or he's going to make this money here, that money there. But the agent is going to go back to the principal, the seller, and say, listen, this is where we're at. This is the bottom line, and explain it at that point. They started at $20,000 that they want a contribution. We went back at $3,500. Then they came back at $10,000. We finally got them to agree to say $7,000, of which out of that $7,000, on a second note, hypothetically, you know, the first is kicking in $4,000, and the first is going to allow this money to come from you, the remaining $3,000.
Right.
So it's really important to understand, especially for homeowners, that I can't speak for every agent out there, but I know for what we do, is that when we come back to the homeowner and say, here's what the bank has said, this is their bottom line, it's not a bluff. This is their bottom line.
Right.
We've already done all this work up front. Any agent that has any success in short sales right now knows that they're going to have to go back and forth with that bank probably a minimum of 3 times before there's a bottom line.
Right.
So there are a lot of counters that go on back and forth, and again, we're not going to burden that homeowner. They're in enough distress, usually financially, emotionally, and mostly a lot of them are wrecked right now, and rightfully so.
Well, again, I mean, as the agent there or the negotiator, if you're working on behalf of someone, your obligation is to try and create the best situation for that seller that you possibly can.
Right.
It doesn't always mean that you're going to be able to make sure that they can walk away scot-free, no contribution, no prom notes, no nothing, because their financial situation may be such where that is a viable option, and the seller really has to take a long, hard look at that and say, okay, what is it worth to me to be able to walk away,
right?
And get on with my life.
Yeah, it's really the ultimate decision is by the seller of the property. And with the new laws that have changed, without going into detail on SB 458 again, the new laws that have changed here in California, it's a huge benefit to sell your property short as opposed to foreclosure.
Exactly.
In any way, shape, or form in which you can get it done.
Right.
But this negotiation situation coming back and forth from the bank, one last point I wanted to touch on was with buyers and buyers agents. If we're in a situation, hypothetically, where say that the seller can't come up with any money, say there's a back HOA or something, they simply don't have the money, the buyer does have the right to pay that.
Right.
Okay? And that would be a separate set of negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, that could go all the way down. Again, it depends on, the short sale lender could possibly allow the buyer to pay that. The short sale lender is going to allow that, as I just said, but the short sale buyer, their lender, so the lender on the buyer's side,
right,
there may be guidelines in accordance with that loan where they cannot contribute. So, again, it's just a matter of keeping everyone up to date on what's going on, working out all these terms, and finding a solution that works for everybody.
Finding a solution.
That works for everybody.
I like that line.
Finding a solution.
That works for everyone.
So if you need help finding your solution, please...
For everyone.
Visit us on the web, www.s2neg.com. We would love your feedback, thoughts, comments, or if there's a topic you'd like us to cover, please let us know.
That was awesome, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Next time.